What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again with another episode of Stadia Live Session. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me know if y'all can hear me a-okay. What's up to the people in the chat? Hey, yo, let me shout y'all out first and foremost because we got an action-packed one. We don't really have a lot of time to be billy babbying and dribble drobbling. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the homie Cloud Gaming Dad in the house. In the house. We got Proto P in the house. The homie Collins. Hey, yo. I can't say nothing. But I'm liking the faces I'm really liking the faces that I'm seeing here. These people know what I'm talking about. I'm liking the faces. It's an homage. Oh, and Lukey 6, I'm liking the faces that I'm seeing today. I really am. I can't say that right now. We'll get into it later. My homie Elkdu in the house. Chariot Man Gaming, cast into the sea. Shout out to Chariot Man Gaming. Christopher Torres in the house. Oh, that crazy G Million, he's here. Sean L, yo. And we got Blue Fire Demon 44. Hey, Blue Diamond, FYI. The homie Cold Blood Sensei is off his meds. Okay, he's a little, you know what I'm saying, like a little out there. Okay, so just be leery of my homie, man. He doesn't mean any harm. But shout out to you, Blue Fire Demon, coming through. Like, hold on, what you up in MM2K's mentions for all like that? No, but Cold Blood Sensei is cool. He just loves the troll. But shout out to you, brother. I appreciate the support. And my brothers, I'm liking the faces that I'm seeing today. See, that'll all make sense in about a week or so. I'm liking the faces that I'm seeing today. Shout out to my homie Project Storm. We got I'm liking the faces. Shout out to El Boogie in the house. Porter John D2, what's up, good brother? Also known as John De Silva. I see my look, man. John De Silva, I appreciate brothers like that, man, because look, he appreciates the power of Stadia while he enjoys all gaming. He loves all gaming equally, and he comes down the middle of it, man. You can't but appreciate brothers like John, man. Shout out to you. I'll be seeing you doing that work out there on Twitter, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. Efren Mexia in the house. Good to see you. Thank you so much. You guys are so supportive. I love all of y'all. Do me a huge favor because we got some breaking news. I don't know if y'all saw what I was talking about, but we got some breaking news that is coming from Google themselves that in a roundabout way relates to Stadia in such an impactful and powerful way to where one of the biggest fan sites of Stadia and Google altogether, killed by Google, sarcasm, has essentially been taken out to the back like old Yeller and Black-a-cow. Been taken out as misery. If these truths hold to be self-evident, killed by Google, just got old Yeller. Just take him out to the back. I know that sounds like a rooster, I know. But shout out to all of you. Y'all know I'm off my rocker. Breaking news, that's right. Peddler Games is in the house. Oh, and I can't forget my brother, Randy B's in the house. Actuary Stud is in the house. Let's do it. Breaking news. Who got a chance to read that article? Very powerful stuff. I want to do, but y'all know how we do here. I just want to take this right now. We're gonna put this in the. My dog rooster, man. I know I'm off my rock. Hey, look, y'all. We're gonna get into it. I'm not gonna bibble babble on other stuff because y'all time is precious, and that wasn't the intent of me doing this ad hoc. It was I was gonna do it at 1, but I had to take care of some stuff with my wife, and then we went out to go eat, right? And I told y'all that I have allergies, I have issues. My wife has issues, both of us. I was just talking to our kids. I said, man, you got to pray for your parents because we all busted up. Y'all better be on the straight and narrow because your mom and your dad all busted up. We need y'all help more than you need ours. So, you make sure y'all eat the right things and all the other stuff, right? So we're vegan. for the most part. I'm pescatarian. Well, no, we're both pescatarian. I'm sorry, because my wife was vegan and now she's incorporated fish in her diet. But we went to this vegan restaurant today. Our favorite vegan restaurant is a place called B52's. Has the best vegan food ever. You can't tell that it's vegan. That's the secret sauce of vegan food. And kind of like Stadia's secret sauce, you can't tell that when you on Stadia, you can't tell you in the cloud. That's the beauty of Stadia. You think you're playing natively. So when we go to B52's and we chowing on this food, right? It's so great. The pancakes, we love the bread. We go there for breakfast. Cheese fries. Cheese is the most hardest thing to replicate that's vegan. But we be tasting the cheese fries, all that stuff. Stuff is lovely, right? Well, B52's for some reason shut down for the week. They having some type of staff holiday, they called it. They just went on vacation. I don't know why they say they call it a staff holiday. They know they so admired that they ain't allowed to take off, right? So we went to this new place today. Checked it out. Got all these good ratings on Google. And it was like the best. Their vegan menu was great, right? So I'm very leery about places that don't specialize in vegan food. They make vegan food also. But it's in a part of Pittsburgh that's real ritzy. The rich upper class is called Shady Side. The rich upper class is always there, and they don't play about they vegan food. You know what I'm saying? Like all the places that sell regular food and vegan food, in Shady Side, the vegan food portion be bomb, right? So I didn't hear about this place before, so I said we're gonna go there and test it out and eat it. Oh my. That was the nastiest ish. My wife has no coof, y'all. She has no coof. She will sit there. She was like, this ain't no B52. I'm like, baby, shh. I still got to get my coffee. I don't want no extra ingredients in my coffee. Shh. Like Pops off the Wayans Brothers. Shh. But I'm like, yo, that place was horrible. So y'all got to bear with me because I'm flushing my body. That stuff was trash. And I'm literally flushing my body out. I got some green tea. It's called Mo Dragon Green Tea. I love this blend. I get it from a local coffee shop, but it's called Moa Dragon, M-O-A Dragon Green Tea. Great blend. It's good for flushing out the body. So definitely try it out. I love it, but it's caffeine. Joe, it is very high. So I'm going to be very extra elevated today. As y'all also know, as it pertains to my diet, I've tried to stay away from caffeine because what I do now is I drink a big 32-ounce bottle of alkaline water the first thing I get up, and it wakes up your body. And you can make alkaline water yourself. I originally thought just take a couple of caps of lime juice, but my wife said, no, pour a little bit more in. Pour a little bit more liquor in there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, maybe like 5 tablespoons of lime juice, put it in a 32-ounce bottle of water, spring water preferably, and drink it. Have it be the first thing that you consume as soon as your body wakes up. It runs through your body, cleans your body out, gives you energy. So I really don't need caffeine. So now I already got that invigorates your body, and now I got to flush out my body with all this mild dragon caffeine. Your boy's wired. He's wired. Okay? But we're going to get into this. Let me move I got a lot of junk here. Let me move this stuff. All right, y'all. So I sent that out. I'm gonna send it. I'll wait till later to send the tweets out. I mean, to send the Facebook notifications out. Oh yeah, by the way, y'all. Here, let me show this to y'all. We're on Facebook. For those of you, Facebook. There we go. Oh, I can't. Nah, it ain't gonna let me do it. It ain't gonna let me go into. We're on Facebook. So if you go to Stadia Dosage page on Facebook, facebook.com/Stadia Dosage page, you'll see us out there. Something goofy going on here with this. Oh, no, now it's working. If you go there, you'll see us out there. Check us out and join the page. If you join the page and you have content that you want to put out there, we're opening it up. We're opening up all of our Stadia Dosage platforms. Y'all will find out in about a week or so how serious we are about this. But we want everybody to go to the Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, go to Stadia Dosage page. Look for the Stadia Dosage page on Facebook and join. We got a lot of great content out there. We try to put stuff out there from my brother, from all the Stadia related stuff. We put it out there. Stuff from my brother, Project Storm in the house, Stadia Rev, myself. We got Shogun 2K. He about to do some stuff. And we got some other people that's going to be doing some stuff as well. I think y'all are going to thoroughly enjoy this. So sign up to the Stadia Dosage page on Facebook. It's a great one-stop shop for a lot of Stadia news, along with following us on the Stadia Dosage Twitter. All right. Here's what we want to talk about today, though, folks. We want to talk about... Did I lose my show notes? I sure did. Okay, hold on. No, there's that. All right, I think we're okay. So, here's what we want to talk about today, y'all. I want to talk about this new late-breaking article, which refers to a new API policy from Google Stadia. This changes the game if all of this is true and factual. I mean, this is coming from the Google Stadia spokespeople, so unless they're lying, some things are going to drastically change as it relates to Google, and that should trickle down to Stadia. This is big. This is big in a lot of ways. So I'm not a tech guy. I can only talk to you on the consumer side of it and on the market side of it on why this is big. As far as the technical aspects of it, the things that I don't understand, I'm not going to try to speak on that. I'm not going to try to sell y'all snake oil. I don't want to, because I don't know about the technicalities of this in that regards. I did refer this to my brother Clive Linden. So hopefully when Clive goes live in about a couple of hours, he'll be able to break this down to y'all as well if he chooses to. Somebody else will, or anybody will. But I'm going to talk about the specific consumer ramifications if this goes down as it's described in this article. Also, the thing that was normally on our docket, which if you're a member of this channel, and hopefully you are a member, because if you're a member on this channel, we have brought back something that we call Channel Talk, and we revised it. Channel Talk is where we sit down for about a good half an hour, talk about all the previous week's content, so we don't have that short memory syndrome. You know how people have short memory? Oh my God, we didn't see a trailer that had the Stadia logo. It must not be coming to Stadia. Well, the purpose of Channel Talk is, remember when y'all was doing that for Resident Evil 8? Remember when y'all did that for this? Remember when y'all did that for that? Is to make sure y'all don't suffer from short memory syndrome. So check us out on Channel Talk as we go over the previous vital information so it's etched in your mind. That's how we always got the facts. We never forget this stuff. We always embed our thought process in this stuff, and we would like for you to be able to do the same to help better equip you for your purchasing decisions. All right. But a new thing that we're doing is we're not only talking about the previous week's stuff, we're going to give you a sneak peek at the stuff we're going to talk about the following week, which is new. And we've opened it up to all members. Channel Talk used to just be for Stadia Dosage, the prescription members and above. Now it's going to be for every member. So regardless of what tier you're in, you're going to have access to that show. We did the first revised episode yesterday. Go check it out if you're a member and you haven't seen it already. Okay. All right. With no further ado, let's get into it, y'all. So we had Stadia Life said, what's Facebook? Hey, yo, don't do that to the old, you know, old people like me with the Geritol and the wheat things. Come on, Stadia Life. You know how we roll. Shaking our fist at the window. And I better not see you on Facebook. You know how we do. Please don't do that, man. Don't make us feel so bad. All right. Don't make me have to change my depends twice during this episode. All right. Show the old fogey some respect. Okay. Now shout out to Stadia Life in the house. All right. Let's get into it. So here's what we got going on, folks. What I try to do is I try to look at things from the grassroots consumer level, because a lot of us that are here listening to this, that are reading articles, we represent a peculiar few, a very smart and bright and forward-thinking few, but we don't represent the majority of gamers, not at all. Like most gamers, don't know and won't ever know who an MM2K is. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not here for the strength of numbers. We're here for the strength of the truth. Okay. So with that being said, I try to bring things back to like say, hey, I know we like this and I know we dislike this, but here's what's going to throw said product over. How will it resonate with the general consumer? I always try to keep us grounded like that. Another thing that I try to expose us to that some may or may not be exposed to already is how things work in the market. Y'all hear me joke a lot of times and say, I want to give y'all copies of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Because sometimes as it relates to Stadia in these early phases, we get all excited or we get all bent out of shape over something that does not have that long of a reach. For instance, just this past week, there was a lot of hoopla about the Stadia Pro model no longer giving an upfront payment, and then Google possibly strong-arming people into going into this new Stadia Pro incentive model. It came from Reset Era. Now, normally in the gaming streets, nobody takes Reset Era seriously. They may post it in console war babble real quick to throw a jab during the console war debate, but nobody takes them seriously until they are vetted. All right? But somehow we did. But we're new to this. So we're going to have these ups and downs, but the more and more that we have them, the more and more they become embarrassing, right? And the less and less serious that we're going to be taken, the more that we don't understand how keep falling for these okie-dokes, not pivoting from the facts, and being wrong when the dust settles, how bad that is for us, right? So we got all bent out of shape. There was things and places and things said on social media about this supposed happenings with Google over this new Stadia Pro model. Come to find out, shout out to the people at 9 to 5 Google. Shout out to Ben Schoon, one who I don't always agree with. My brother blocked me on Twitter. It's A-okay. I think I will live another day. It's all right. Because regardless, if me and him are best friends doing potato sack races together, as long as my brother's out here doing his due diligence and doing things properly, when he does it, I'm going to give him his flowers. And he did it properly this time when he heard about the stuff at Reset Era, didn't utter a word about it, but waited until he talked to Google and said, okay, here's what really's going on. And come to find out, the thing with Stadia Pro is that, yes, the new Stadia Pro model that they're getting everybody to shift to at whatever times doesn't include an upfront payment. However, two big caveats. Caveat number one, that's the model that most people that are participating in Pro are already in. Wow. Number two, the people that had just recently converted to that, according to Google, are seeing more money than they did on the old model. Bam! So that's done. Now, some may still want to embellish upon, well, Google didn't really speak to the strong arming of so-and-so, and this is the whole market part of it. Shout out to our friends at Nerd Nest, Bill, Run Jump Stomp, and our homie Lloyd Hiddison also at Dasme on Twitter. They spoke this so elegantly yesterday. You gotta catch that show, catch that episode of Stadia Cast. And it was Bill in particular that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that said, look, we're not going to know about that part, and it's not even worth getting into it about it, because those are specific contract related things that require NDAs. So in order for Google to sit there and say, yeah, we strong arm, or we didn't strong arm MM2K in the Stadia Pro, what happened is MM2K is upset about XYZ. That then null and voids my responsibility with the NDA, because the people that set up that NDA broke it. And that causes a whole bunch of problems for me. So they're not going to speak to that. So that's just something that we talked about it this Saturday on SML Podcast. The canoe people, as I like to call them, the people that like to sit in their little small sector out in the middle of the sea that just look and get giddy and get all excited over anything negative Stadia. See, Stadia's on its way out, you see. Let them be out in the sea in a little canoe and just push the canoe out, let them argue and debate amongst themselves about how Stadia is about to die 20 months later. Stadia's dead tomorrow. They've been saying that same too. It only has 3.5 minutes left. Let them do that to themselves. If you like it, I love it. Let them have that conversation in a canoe out in the sea. But those are the type of things that we got to understand. It's crazy. It's crazy. And here's the thing. And I also give a shout out to 9 to 5 Google and Ben Shun for asking the question, though, because that's their journalistic duty. Of course they're supposed to. They wouldn't be doing their job if they didn't ask Google. What about the rumors of you strong-arming people to the new models that are agreeing to the previously negotiated models and letting them run out? Of course they're supposed to ask that question. Shout out to them. But before they even cracked the top open on all this, they understood where it was sourced from and they did their due diligence. And you can appreciate that. Even though we may not always agree, you can appreciate that. All right? And I'll give them the roses when they deserve them. Definitely. But to expect to carry on from that interview and still think it's something major that Google didn't answer that's insanity. It wasn't insane to ask the question, if y'all get my drift. That was the responsibility as journalists, to at least ask the question. But it's insanity to actually expect that question to be answered. That's like if I'm on trial for murder and you ask me, did you kill him? Of course you're going to expect me to say no. If I said, if you didn't expect me to say no, there wouldn't even be a trial. I would have pled guilty. But it's your responsibility as a lawyer, as a DA, whatever the case, to ask the question. But to think Google is going to break their own NDA that they established and talk about specific contract details, not saying, well, overall, we're starting to see examples of, not at a blanket 5,000 feet view, but to talk about these specific situations that may or may not even exist, that proves that our business acumen, as they call it in the industry, our business acumen is too damn low. Y'all remember the guy that was running for president? The rent is too damn high. Our business acumen is too damn low. All right? And another reason why this is important is because when it comes to that business acumen, we got to understand that regardless if we think this is a winning strategy or a winning trajectory that Stadia is on, that they're not going to give up on this overnight. They can't afford to. Google is in a bitter race versus market rivals like Amazon. I guess you could throw Apple in there a little bit, but mainly Amazon and Apple. And mainly Amazon and Microsoft. They're fourth in the cloud space. Gaming for Amazon and Microsoft is going to propel their cloud business. Google heavily needs their cloud business to excel. And gaming is a big portion of that. How big is gaming in the cloud? Here's how big it is. And I believe it was Microsoft's fiscal year 2020. Microsoft, for the first time, I don't know if ever or in a very long time, their cloud business was about to overtake Amazon's. Shout out to my good brother Jim with the $1.49 sticker. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate you, good brother. And Jim, you know how we do. I know you're not going to do it. I know you're a humbled individual, but we really love what you're doing. Your last video, I loved it. Bro, drop your link. And then Clive, I see you in here too. Drop your link too. We'll have you do it multiple times though. But drop your link because you gonna tear it up tonight. I don't know what y'all got planned. I don't know if you got open heart surgery. You're gonna buy some pizza. You're gonna drink some oat Milwaukee. I don't know what your plans are tonight. But you better push them back for Monday night Stadia chat. Now, I may have not said it in the proper order, but you know, I was trying to rhyme. I was trying to drop bars. Y'all better get ready for Clive's show tonight. It's gonna be killer. It's gonna be insane in the membrane. You better be there. I told my wife, you better not choke. You better not fall down those steps. Everything better be okay. Because if something happens to you, I hope the neighbors hear you. They gonna have to rush you to the hospital. I'm not getting away from Clive's show tonight. That's the truth. Nah, y'all, if y'all knew my wife, y'all know that's the farthest thing from the truth. Anyway. But yeah, Jim, Clive, please drop your links to your channels. So the truth about Stadia spread to these people that may not be the wiser. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. That being said, and thank you again, Jim. That being said, and Clive, correct me if I'm wrong, because my brother Clive has experience with this as well. Or at the very least, he keeps up to date with this stuff. At the fiscal end of 2020, Microsoft either was about to surpass Amazon for the first time ever, or for the first time in a long time in the cloud business. Because Microsoft had a hell of a fiscal year 2020. Had a hell of a year. It was bonkers. Amazon had a hell of a year. But I think out of the two, in general, I'm not talking about just cloud. In general, I think Microsoft had a bigger year maybe, or they were about to have the biggest year. And the thing that separated the two by a hair was the cloud business. And Microsoft and all other parameters in their cloud business was about to beat Amazon. Azure was about to put the baby powder on, like my homie off of Friday After Next. It was about to pimp slap Amazon up and down the corner of the boulevard. And guess what happened? Amazon won by a hair. How did they win by a hair? From cloud business. Listen to this part of it. Guess how Amazon fiscal year 2020 beat Microsoft? Because of Minecraft. Hold on, MM2K. What are you talking about? Yeah, you on that Ripple tonight, baby. You done had too much of that Fred Sanford Ripple. No, listen to me. Listen. This is why y'all got to pay attention to all the stuff from 5,000 feet. I don't just be sipping on Mad Dog and beef eaters and get on the mic. I pay attention to the stuff. When I'm not on air, letting out hot air, I am doing my due diligence. And I'm here to tell y'all that what Microsoft, how they fell short was because of their own game, Minecraft. How was that? Because there were portions of Minecraft that were being hosted by AWS. And because Minecraft was doing so well, fiscal year 2020, that cascaded and trickled down to Amazon, where by a nose, Amazon beat Microsoft with their own damn game. See, I do more than drink old Milwaukee. Told y'all I did. Now you tell me If that ain't a son of a chicken plucker. Satya Nadella, immediately it was reported that blood was shooting from his eyes and his nose, and he acted immediately to pull that remaining portion or whatever, Minecraft 3D or VR, whatever it was, and he acted diligently to get that off of AWS and get that onto Azure as well, so this wouldn't happen again, because they were embarrassed by that. So then, as my good brother Clive E. Linden is pointing to in the chat, Azure is a strong second with Google third. Google have seen some of the biggest strides in cloud enterprise, which is their big push at the moment. He is 1,000% right. However, during this time that I'm speaking of, a lot of analysts were like, Google's losing it. But they've become a lot stronger. They made some big pushes in the article that I'm about to read. They went and got some key people, and now they're churning it up. And again, we're Microsoft's own game snatch victory out of their hands. Google is observing all this. They're seeing how much money cloud businesses in general, and how much money gaming and gaming on the cloud, or cloud in relation to game storage, or whatever the case may be, is integral to this business. And they can't get out of it. One thing about the market is, not only do you compete against your peers, but you got to compete against yourself. That affects your stock price. If it doesn't matter if MM2K Enterprises made $1 million on Tuesday. If on Monday I made 10 million, I'm down tenfold. The market doesn't like that. My stock price goes down. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you don't rate performance day to day, but it's year over year. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, if it's like exactly how my brother Clive E. Linden pointed out to, that Google have seen some strides, some really big strides if you keep up with this stuff. And cloud enterprise, with a lot of the pickups that they've had that we're going to talk about in this article, they can't fall back. Another example, gaming wise. Do y'all want to know why Sean Layton is gone? Sean Layton of Sony is gone. I'm going to give you my own synopsis on this, the MM2K synopsis. Sean Layton, and he spelled this out in an interview. I pay attention to all this nerd stuff. He spelled out in an interview that Sony, of course, was in so much trouble with how the PlayStation 3 really didn't pick up until the end of the generation. And they couldn't afford to do that again. It was vital, not just for PlayStation, but for Sony to do a lot better with the PlayStation 4. It was vital. But they didn't have the library up to speed yet. So they ran a campaign versus Xbox. The Xbox was tripping over itself when it came to the Xbox One and the whole DRM thing. But then they made it about 60 frames per second makes you a better gamer. And then you had Xbox starting off with Donnie D and then Phil Spencer all over the place. And they didn't know where they were going with this. But because they had the weaker machine, but they really didn't have the lineup to really make that machine sing. The only thing that they had was the third-party games, which were performing better on the PlayStation 4. And they had the indie games. They were talking so great about indie games, Octodad, and all this other stuff, that then they turned the market onto indie games when this is normally a big AAA market. So indie games became a big thing. But as soon as the indie games were starting to wear thin and their catalog was starting to get up, because here's what Sony did. They went to the Japanese developers and abandoned them. And the PlayStation was so big for the Japanese developers, they just started making mobile games. And then when the indie games, when their honeymoon phase was starting to die down, Sony knew that they were coming with their AAA games. They then went back to the Japanese developers and said, look, we know we ignored y'all. We had to. We're sorry, baby. But come on back, baby. And they did, to the tune of a Nier Automata, to Neo, and all the other Japanese second-party games that came out, either timed exclusive or exclusively to PlayStation, that propelled them, Dosage and all those other games. I know I butchered that name. And then they dropped their own AAA bombshells. But see, they went all in on that strategy in 2018. They played all their chips in 2018. And what Sean Layton was hoping was that would carry them on and keep the stock price up and keep everything rocking and rolling 2019, 2020 until the PlayStation 5 came out. And what ended up happening is that 2019 didn't start well for them. Days Gone didn't review well. And then Game Pass started to pick up a little bit of steam. And even though PlayStation had all of those big titles, even though their stock price was at a record 24-year high, because of the PlayStation, Sony's stock price was in a 24-year high because of the PlayStation. In 2019, things fell flat. They kind of went underwater a little bit. And they still made a lot of money, but it went under. And it had a negative impact on the market. And so then the brass at Sony asked themselves, hold on. How is it that we're dropping all of this critically acclaimed content? Microsoft got you out here chasing chickens and pigs on Sea of Thieves. They're getting laughed at, but to our 16 billion, they still made 10. And that's when Sony said, we got to change the game. We have to get more market-minded like Microsoft. Out goes Sean Layton, in comes Jim Ryan. Sony still made a lot of money in 2019. But again, the way the market works, you not only compete against the people across the street, you compete against yourself back in the day. And they didn't do well versus 2018, hence why those moves were made. What has this got to do with what we're talking about today? Y'all got to understand the reason why Google is not going to jump out of the cloud gaming business in a drop of a hat. There's several reasons why, but the biggest reason why is that they got too much to risk in the market. If cloud gaming and things related to cloud and gaming is causing such razor thin wins for AWS over Azure, and Google is just making strides in the third place, how much of a hole do they dig for themselves if they ditch it? They can't. But those of you that don't understand the market don't realize that. So here's my suggestion to you, because I can't help but scream and I can't help but BB. But if you want a more mediocre, calm version of all this, please pick up the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, or maybe my spiritual advisor, Clive Linden, will be the wiser, be the more calmer individual that can make this resonate better than I can. But that's why a lot of this talk about Google's going to get out of this is silly. Now, before we go into today's big story, let me get to the chat. We got Dev the Gamer who says, facts. Stadia Life says, but I can still love what Google is doing and spread the love. He says, speeds are fine. Starlink suffers from... Okay, so with my brother Stadia Life, just to embellish on him and what he's saying, if he hasn't already in the chat, his internet doesn't cooperate with him well. You know what I'm saying? And that's great that he keeps it a buck about that. Because Stadia needs to see that. Maybe they can pull through their data and see how they can improve it even more. You know what I'm saying? To make it better. And it's going to come with time. But shout out for the truth and honesty there. And yeah, he is talking about it in the chat. My brother Chariot Man Gaming says, preach! And Clive says, AWS growth has been slowing. But definitely. And Chariot Man says, I'll be watching. I gotta watch that. This is, didn't MS force Xbox to be online other way you couldn't play or something? No, that's all right, brother. I get what you're saying, Blue Fire. Look, they backed away from that DRM stance only to slowly but surely creep up to it, along with Sony. A lot of these, like Gran Turismo, even in a single player mode, you got to be online. All these games, the Ubisoft games, they all come with DRM now. And remember how we were just in 2013? We were like Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it. Remember how we were doing all that? And everybody was making videos and getting all that YouTube ad money. And everybody was drunk off that YouTube ad money. And look at them 8 years now. Everybody's accepting DRM. Everybody's accepting it. So that's why I spit into my pop filter and I say, stop the foolery. Just like how y'all are so apprehensive about cloud gaming, 7-8 years from now, y'all be playing it like it's nothing, because it is like nothing detrimental to your life. It's not like the movie Old from M. Night Shyamalan. As soon as you play a cloud game, you turn to 177 years old. It ain't like that. Stop it. I get you trying to get some coin out here on YouTube, but you're going too far with this. You're doing too much. Because now we got the receipts. And all these fools that was doing this for the coin, clout chasing and whatever, y'all gonna look silly. Y'all gonna have to explain yourselves. And you're not gonna be taken seriously. And that's all on you, because the internet doesn't go away. You gotta think past the first 5 minutes of now. So yeah, to your point, Blue Fire, all the people that were going crazy, picketing, you know what I'm saying, and doing what it built in trenches against DRM, they've accepted it. They've accepted it. Just like 7-8 years from now, they're going to accept cloud gaming. And cloud gaming will then start to slowly but surely become a part of mainstream gaming. But the analysts are smart about it this time, as they weren't as smart about it with DRM. They thought it would just be something that they could sell to gamers and gamers would accept it. After that whole DRM exercise, the analysts realized this is going to there's a certain culture and a mind state of the average consumer. It takes about 7 or 8 years for them to resign to the trajectory of things like this. In about 7-8 years, it's going to blow up. It's going to start to blow. And that's why a lot of the projections, even 7 years out, still have it only at a 1% business. I know I say 1 to 2% business. I try to pad it a little bit to make cloud gaming, at least look underwater. But right now, it's under a 1% business. And plus, I'm looking at different categories. Like if you look at if you put in cloud gaming 2027 or cloud gaming analyst 2027, you'll see over 24 different projections from 24 different analysts, but they're all very similar. And it ranges from 0.5% to 2% to maybe 4% between now and 2027. All right. My brother Lukey said, MM2K singing Twisted Sister, that just made my night. Yeah, man, I'm a product of the 80s. I'm an MTV baby. We're not gonna take it. Oh, man. And Elknew was right. Microsoft were ahead of their time with their Xbox One, the backlash. Yeah, to me, this is why, and I thought that was silly. You know why I thought that was silly, Elknew in chat? Because if you think about it, it was actually fiscally better for us to have that DRM because it protected the game It put protections upon hacking and stuff like that, and people being unfair when they're playing the games and stuff like that. Back then, now the technology is so crazy right now, but maybe they would have got a head start on it if we would have accepted it 8 years ago. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad as it is right now. So now we got to wait longer for them to get better with their safeguards because we rejected it in 2013. But not only that, but here's the thing. Did you see Microsoft's policy on that? You can share your game with up to 8 people? What? What? So Elk knew, if you was in my family, I could share the game with you. I could share the game with Bippity Bop. I could share the game with Stadia Life, Proto P. I could even share it with Nightbot. I could share it with Lukey. I could share it with Geek to Sneak. You feel me? Maybe, did I go over 8? I probably did. I can't count. But y'all catch my drift. It was foolish. People were just reacting to the idiot herd. Oh man, this is horrible. Oh man. And they didn't do the research. But analysts understand that perception is 9/10 of the law. People don't do the research. They got busy lives. They feel like it's too important. And we are the peculiar few. We are the standouts. And that's a great thing. I love being a standout. I don't want to be with everybody else because everybody else is too hive-minded. So if you're listening to this right now, you're unlike the common gamer. You are a leader, not a follower. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve that pat. You are not part of the hive mind. And people like Elk knew, understand the value that was there. And yes, Microsoft was ahead of their time. And had that gone through, that would have been killer for gaming. And this is why our stances be hypocritical. Everybody fought DRM, but then y'all say, but what about the devs? What about the devs? We in it for the devs. Y'all don't support the devs. Oh, we hate Stadia Pro because Stadia Pro is going to be bad for the devs. Where was y'all behind that when the devs wanted this DRM? This DRM would have a bigger impact on what's going on for the devs than Stadia Pro would be any day. And y'all wasn't for it. Where was y'all for the devs jackets then? Where was the for the devs jackets and baseball caps and socks and sneakers then? Y'all ain't for the devs. Y'all for the idiot herd. Not y'all listening. But those that come and look at us and say, oh, y'all weird, this, that, and the other, you are part of the idiot herd. Why? Because 8 years ago, you were all against DRM, and now you're buying PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series S's out of the wazoo. Shut up. What about the devs? What about the devs? You're full of it. You go every which way the Puppet Master Media or YouTubers tell you to go. We kick the tires ourselves over here. We're not like you. Period. So shout out to Elk New, getting me all excited live on air. But that's the truth. That's why I'm as harsh as I am, y'all. Think about it. And that's why I like the aforementioned channel talk that I do for the members of this platform. If you're not a member, join. You're missing a lot of great content. That's why I do stuff like that, so we can reflect. It's always great to reflect. And if you reflect back to 2013, the same people, I bet you 9 out of every 10 people that was out there going crazy over DRM, they fighting and scratching and clawing for PlayStation 5, the digital editions and Xbox Series S's. Period. That's why you got to be very careful of where you're tuning your mind into. Like, I listen to everything. because I want to hear what people are saying and the trajectory that they're coming at. But I don't absorb all of their bibble babble. I don't absorb it, but I like to know what angles they're coming from. I like to be connected to people's thoughts process. Don't mean I entertain it, but at least I know what's going on around me. Keep my head on the swivel. Now, on to the feature, the feature, which is the article. Bam! You know, it'd be nice if I turned on my soundboard so I can do this remotely. All right, y'all. Here, let me clear this. Shout out to you, Geek to Sneak, and Elk Do for that. This is an article. Oh, come on, Protocol. Stop it. Don't try to sell me nothing on my show live on here. This is an article from Protocol. And it says how Google Cloud plans to kill by Google reputation. Under the new Google Enterprise API policy, the company is making a promise that its services will remain available and stable far into the future. The article reads, Google Cloud issued a promise Monday, today. This is big, y'all. This is huge. I want everybody, if you're talking to somebody in the background, you're picking your nose and you're making booger pictures on the wall, whatever you're doing, stop it. Listen to this. This is huge. This is big. This is either big because Stadia done lied out, or Google done lied out over Zoo and their feet is going to be held to the fire for it, or it's huge because this is going to be a major shift on how they handle their products and services, and it's going to be instrumental to us in a major way. And they say something in this article that I have not heard a Fortune 500 company say in a while. And I'm wondering, when we talk about the market aspect of this, I wonder what the analysts and their investors have to say about it. We'll see. We'll see if there's any backlash. But again, Google Cloud issued my bad, kidding me. Let me tell you something. All right, now we're here. Google Cloud issued a promise on Monday to current and potential customers that it's safe to build a business around its core technologies, another step in its transformation from an engineering playground to a true enterprise tech vendor. Starting Monday, Google will designate a subset of APIs across the company as Google Enterprise APIs, including APIs from Google Cloud, Google Workspace, and Google Maps. APIs selected for this category, which will include a majority of Google Cloud APIs, according to Kripa Krishnan, Vice President at Google Cloud, will be subject to strict guidelines regarding any changes that could affect customer software built around those APIs. It is built on principle that no feature may be removed or changed in a way that is backwards compatible for as long as customers are actively using it, Krishnan said. If a deprecation or breaking change of an API is unavoidable, then we are saying that the burden is on us to make the experience as effortless and painless as possible to our customers. The announcement is clear recognition of widespread feedback from Google Cloud customers and outright decision in several corners of the internet regarding Google's historic reputation for ending support for its APIs without sufficient notice or foresight. The canonical example was probably the company's decision to shutter Google Reader in 2013 with just a couple of months' notice, with a lead to a torrent of criticism that persists today. While it's one thing to discontinue free consumer-facing services like Reader that Google thinks aren't used widely enough to justify ongoing support, it's quite another to adopt that stance with paying business customers, even if there are only a few customers using a particular service. Cloud customers need to know that service will be available and stable far into the future. I'm going to read this again. But while it's one thing to discontinue free consumer-facing services like Reader that Google thinks aren't used widely enough to justify ongoing support, in other words, it's one thing that they did this to Google Reader or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they're promising for Google Reader they're still going to keep it up. But they're saying it's quite another undertaking to adopt that stance with paying business customers. Possibly Stadia. Strong emphasis on possibly. I'll get into that in a little bit. Even if there are only a few customers using a particular service, cloud customers need to know that the service will be available and stable far into the future. We're striving to leave no dead ends in our products and leave no customers behind, even if this adds significant cost to us, Krishnan said. They were also asked about the Kill by Google website, ran by Cody Ogden. And then in response, Krishnan said it was pretty apparent to us from many sources on the internet that we are not doing well, she allowed. There's more here. Now, this mentality began to change in early 2019. This is when I talked about earlier, them bringing in key and vital people to support this shift in approach to their products and to certain products and services. This mentality began in 2019 after CEO Thomas Kurian was brought in from Oracle to teach Google Cloud how to be an enterprise tech vendor. Kurian hired legions of enterprise salespeople to develop closer relationships with cloud buyers and also to steer Google's cloud product development culture into a more humble posture. Pride is a trap for the unwary, and it has ensnared many a Google team into thinking that their decisions are always right, and that correctness, by some vague, fuzzy definition, is more important than customer focus, wrote Steve Yegi, a former software engineer at both Google and Amazon, in an epic post last August, excoriating Google's approach to supporting its tools. Google Cloud has heard the feedback and clear, Krishnan said. It's not that we didn't have a deprecation policy before. It's just that it didn't work for us at scale. It worked much better when you were small and you have contained customer units or users. It absolutely did not work at scale of cloud, so we had to rethink it. And there's so much more about this. But the two bigger pieces of this are, first and foremost, where they say, we are striving to leave no dead ends in our products and leave no customer behind, even if this adds significant costs to us. And they talk about that regardless, no matter how many people are using a particular service, they're going to plan to support said cloud product. Now, here's the thing to take into consideration, y'all. They speak specifically to cloud customers, okay? And they spoke specifically to APIs and things like that for specific applications. Now, Stadia wasn't named here. So I want to be very clear about that. Stadia, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to sell snake oil. Stadia wasn't named here, even though Stadia fathomably can be considered part of their cloud business. But this announcement today jives so much with what we've heard in the past, right? Where Stadia said we're not going anywhere. Where they said it on the internet. Where they said it out on Twitter. They said it in their Discord. Stadia is not going anywhere. And that could be because of the new mindset that was starting to flow in 2019 when it comes to this stuff. And like my brother Clive Valenda has pointed to, it has led to a better product and them having a better placement with their cloud products and services. So again, they haven't specifically said that Stadia is part of this new ambiance, but it is a cloud service. So why wouldn't it be? But I want to be very clear about that. That even though they didn't name Stadia, a lot of this stuff that you're hearing today as they speak more broadly matches up with the stuff that they've been saying about Stadia recently, as far as people saying, well, Stadia is going to die and this and that, where GameIndustry.biz themselves had to come out and say, look, it looks like the inevitable death that we thought of Stadia isn't so. We kind of heard trinkets of this so much with Stadia before we heard this. Google, we told you on good authority. Alphabet, doubled down on Stadia. They worked with devs. They wanted Google to get in the trenches with the devs and give them better tools and stuff like that to bring these games faster, make them perform better for Stadia. We told y'all months in advance before it being mentioned at the Stadia keynote. So that good authority we got that information on was a good authority. And all of this jives now. And it all relates to the Stadia Hot Summer that we talked to. Now, to many, the Stadia Hot Summer, they thought it meant games is coming tomorrow. We're going to get Biomutant and For Honor. Oh, we ain't getting them 2 games. Damn you, MM2K. Damn you and your Stadia Hot Summer. No. Stadia is here to stay. The thing that you made the investment in, and that's the goal, that they're working long-term in this. I can't say if Stadia is going to be here forever. I can't say if Xbox is going to be here forever. We almost couldn't say that PlayStation wasn't going to be here forever. But what I'm saying is that Stadia has an infrastructure and an end game set up well beyond this chitter chatter that's going on now, this foolish babble that resembles the same foolish babble that we were doing as gamers when it related to DRM. Hell no, DRM is the devil. If you spell DRM backwards, it spells pentagram. It's the devil. We're sounding foolish out here. 8 years later, we're buying up PlayStation 5 digitals and we're buying up Xbox One S's like there is no tomorrow. We've accepted that devil, right? That's how foolish we sound now. And 7 or 8 years from now, when those receipts are pulled, because y'all have went crazy bonkers when it relates to cloud gaming, and particularly Stadia. When we're here 7 to 8 years from now, and y'all got to look at everything that y'all said, I'm curious to see what y'all responses are going to be. Because the internet doesn't go away, and receipts are a big thing. So with all this being said, y'all, again, they didn't mention Stadia per se, but Stadia is a cloud business. I can't say with a certainty, and I don't have any good authority on that. I can't say within a certainty that this new culture directly applies to Stadia, but why wouldn't it? I mean, we've heard trinkets of it, so we'll see. Something to definitely keep your eyes on. But this is huge mindset for Google altogether, because the whole kill by Google mind state in theory is the antithesis of what we heard today. So kill by Google is essentially dead now. It's dead. If this is true. If this isn't true, if Google went out here and just told us a fairy tale, wow. But what company do you know goes to this extent to tell you something like that as far as their culture is concerned, to not implement it? Now again, this is under a set of policies and culture that's going that is swiftly changing throughout Google. We saw a lot of product managers like John Justice that either left willingly or was given their packing papers or however that went down because of these new policies that didn't fit what they were inclined to, or Google felt like they weren't a good fit for what they were about to do. So you're seeing a huge cultural shift that made its way through Google, and this stuff doesn't happen or get communicated overnight. Google, as the culture and climate is right now, the things that led to the whole killed by Google meme are now going away because of the new culture. They brought in the CEO of Oracle and other big time people, execs, to help change that culture. And this undoubtedly, in my opinion, is going to affect Stadia and how Stadia is perceived. Big stuff. Definitely check out that article, okay? All right. So the next thing I want to talk about real quick before we wrap up. Let's go to some live gameplay here. Let me check out what y'all saying in the chat. Apollyon says, killed by Google was killed by Google. Yes. Kenry says, video's going to be taken down from the naysayers. They made their money at the time. You know what, Kenry? I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm having a lot of discussions with content creator friends of mine. And I don't have any authority on this, any word on this. But I can imagine, because I've been in the Fortune 500 world. I've negotiated contracts. I've even had to, I remember one of my greatest feats during my tenure is several years ago. I took it upon I used to be a client-facing manager. And then I went over to our auxiliary services, right? To like the support of the stuff that we were doing. So I wasn't client-facing anymore, but I had that experience. And it was better for me because I'm a techie person, so I got to deal with a lot of techie stuff. I had built my own database that was being used for a call center. I taught myself SQL and Access. That was a nightmarish thing to go through. I taught it to myself. I sat in a seminar for 2 days. They taught me the basics. The rest of it I had to teach myself and create a database for our call center. I did a barrage of things, right? So I was a behind the scenes person. I wasn't client facing, which is great. Because when you're a client facing person, oh my gosh, it can be a pain in the rear end. And when you're a client facing person, I used to have this one client that they would give you a pager for. This is when pagers were still around. They gave you a pager for, and because they were in a different time zone, they were in PT time, I was in Eastern time, they would actually call you. Now I backed up, I wasn't the main person for this account, but because I was the backup, I had to have a pager as well. And they would actually call you, and you would have to get up and do and attend to whatever they needed. I was also still in school at the time, so I could be in the middle of an exam, and if I wanted to keep my job, I'd have to leave my exam and say I got to take this for a client, and hopefully I didn't fail. You know what I mean? So, but of course, wisely, I went to the dean and got all that straightened out and explained to him, got a letter from my job explaining all those ramifications and stuff like that. But I started working behind the scenes dealing with the IT group because they were impressed with the fact that I taught myself SQL and Visual Basic and Access. That self-taught it. And I started working with reconciliation. Those are people that deal with numbers and stuff like that, and analytics and things like that. And our call center and our correspondent distribution team. So I was doing the support stuff. And one of my biggest accomplishments was I was several years removed from any client-facing work. And we had somebody from our sales team go and tell a major client that we could do something that we could not do. And that would fall upon my support team to be able to do it. There was no way we could do it. There was no way. They were trying to get this business. Basically, they were trying to get the business so they could get their bonus. That's what it was. And they had screwed up so thoroughly that I had to convince the head of our department to not let the sales team go back out there. I said, I don't know. They're going to screw this up even more. I said, I have the client-facing experience. I'm several years removed, but I have the client-facing experience. Please let me and my team of reconciliation people, let us go out there, and I'm going to guide them through this process. And we went out there, and we saved that business. And if we had not saved that business, I don't know if our department would have still existed. And again, I'm not saying it to pat myself on the back, but I'm saying that to say I'm familiar with Fortune 500 communication. I'm familiar with the contract negotiations, things embedded within them. SLAs, things of that nature, the terms, the do's and don'ts. I can tell you that a lot of these Fortune 500 companies are just mimics of each other, except there's different cultures depending upon the management team. Some have nice managers, some have mean managers, some have neutral, you know what I'm saying? But they all mimics of each other. Once you see one company do successful, success mimics success. Hence why even though Sony had titles that were critically acclaimed, they looked at the fact that they put so much in to putting that product out there. Microsoft, nowhere near acclaim, put so much less out there as far as expenditures. And to Sony's 16 billion, Microsoft was still able to make 10 billion in gaming. That rattled them to the core. And that was considered a success. They didn't put as much elbow grease in there as we did. Nowhere as much. We had 200% more output. We sold way more software. We sold way more hardware. We won way more awards than them. And to our 16 billion, they still made 10? So the people that were number one let go of their execs that they considered successful, bumped some down, and started mimicking the people that were behind them. That's how crazy the market is. So you gotta understand the market before you start saying, well, this company's bowing out or that. You gotta understand all this stuff. Otherwise, it sounds silly. So a lot of that stuff is crazy. A lot of that stuff will come back to bite a lot of us because it was because the internet doesn't go away. You know what I mean? We just got to be cognizant of this stuff. We try to make sure that we're cognizant of this stuff here, but it's up to you to absorb it. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to like it. Like, you ain't got to like DRM. But you got to understand the trajectory of DRM and why it was going to become a norm. There was no way around it. Shout out to the homie Victor Del Maestro. He says, hiya. Joe Smock Jr. says, the only reason why Killed by Google Twitter exists is because they wanted Stadia to be added to it. Yeah, I agree with that. Chariot Man says, when we read that article. He said, and Stadia Life said, the true visionary whoever made E.T. on Atari. And we got CeeLo. CeeLo says, Stadia was significantly scaled back. Laugh out loud. I don't know if that was a joke or sarcasm, or if you're going by something that was said by a YouTuber or whatever. What do you consider scaled back? If that was a true comment, do you mean like the 150 people that were focused on building games are no longer there for the most part? Some of them, a lot of them still remain, like Erin Hoffman-John. She's back at Google. Well, she's not back at Stadia though, but she's back at Google. So yeah, 150 people left, and they have a bunch of engineers, PMs, product managers, liaison folks, stuff that are doing technical stuff behind the scenes. So if you mean Stadia in that regards was scaled back, yeah, as far as personnel, yeah, because most of their personnel were developing games. They're not developing games anymore. If you mean Stadia, the product was scaled back, that's wrong. All you got to do is watch the keynote. See, that's wrong. So, but that might have been sarcasm. I don't know. All right. Now, let's talk about Stadia's trajectory. The cloud gaming trajectory, as we've said here 1,000 times over, This is a 1% business. I almost said, where the hell did I get 20% business? We want it to be 20%. In some point in time, it will be that, but it's going to be a while. It's a 1% business at best right now. Really a 0.5% business. Stadia's purpose within that business is they want to become a place, or they want to create a place within gaming. What does that mean? They want for these pillars that are related to gaming to intersect through Stadia. That is the general gamer, the content creator, the content consumer. They want those three pillars to intersect and be a huge part of Stadia. Now, here's the thing, and here's the understanding. This is where Stadia becomes at its apex. Does Stadia reach its apex, meaning its ultimate milestone in a business sense, if they sell 80 million, or if they're in 80 million homes officially or when they have 80 million active users, general gaming active users? This is going to sound crazy. Now follow me now. The answer is no. Why is the answer no? Because 80 million is a lot. And it's not about the general gaming community that reaches its apex. I'm not saying the general gaming community is not important. What I'm talking about, or what I'm asking, is what is Stadia looking at to say this is our ultimate prize? What is our apex? Stadia's apex, like Amazon apex, is their game streaming services. That's why Microsoft bought Mixer, because they wanted that same apex. They wanted to be able to say, you know what, even if the general gamer prefers PlayStation and Switch over us, all we got to do is pivot to our people on Mixer and say, look, if Ninja was still on Mixer, you want to play games with Ninja? Well, Ninja's going to send you a code, and via Mixer, you can play an xCloud game with Ninja on Mixer. And when they couldn't sustain that business, when they couldn't find a sustainable way to keep that business, and they had to let it go, they had to forego a major safety net that Google and admittedly Amazon are able to maintain. What is that? Their streaming business. Because even though, let's talk a little, even if Amazon, let me throw some numbers at you. In 2020 alone, 100 billion hours of game content was consumed on YouTube. 10 billion of that was live streams. Do y'all truly believe that only 5, maybe 10 people consumed all those hours? No. There had to be a lot of people that was watching game streaming on YouTube to see some damn Pootie Pie, Piddly Palm, Diddly Donk, whoever the hell be on there. I don't know. A lot of people went there to just watch these guys play. These guys and these gals play. Hold on one second. All right. So can you imagine now if Amazon or Google now adds an additional pay stream to say, look, we got it that you like to donate to what's it called? To Ninja on Twitch, not Mixer. We like that you like to donate to PewDiePie. But how about this? For either $9.99 a month or maybe, $7.99 subscription to PewDiePie, becoming a member there, you'll get access to Stadia Pro. And when PewDiePie plays these games that are on the Stadia platform, which by this time they'll all be on there like they're everywhere else. When PewDiePie goes to play Battlefield 2042 or Battle 2097 or whatever the hell's out at the time that this all becomes active, you can now play games with PewDiePie. That's huge. So even if when you're doing your a la carte gaming by yourself, even if you're that tight, when you do your a la carte gaming by yourself, when you go to watch PewDiePie and he throws out that link and you want to be a part of it, that's additional revenue that's going to go to Google. That's additional revenue that's going to go to Twitch, where that 100 billion hours and that 10 billion watch live is even larger there. They got a safety net of revenue based upon gaming, despite what happens with the general gaming public. But yet, you can still be a general gamer and just get on your Chromecast TV, your Google TV, Android device, whatever, and enjoy it whether you're a general gamer or not. That's the safety net that Google and Amazon have in place that nobody else has in place. The shout out to our homie CeeLo, who CeeLo may not be a believer of any of this, but that's all right. That's all right. Come to the church of MM2K. No. Says, good idea. Wasn't it supposed to be integrated with YouTube in the first place? It's integrated with YouTube right now. Crowdplay, all that stuff is active right now. It's just that the platform is in its infancy and there's not a lot of games on there, so they're not pushing that part out right now. But they don't need to. Why? Because Amazon and Google have taken an approach, which I think is a smarter approach than all the other cloud platforms. See, all the other cloud platforms want to build up their games library and then worry about the tech later. And here's the thing. By them doing that, they're shelling out all this money to broker these deals, to get contracts negotiated. If you look at a cloud, and you can look one up on the internet, there's examples of Xbox contracts and stuff like that out there now, where cloud gaming is a completely different negotiable item than dedicated device software. So they're going through the rigors of all this stuff right now, and don't nobody want to play it because the lag is too high, too much pixelation, too much latency. Where Amazon and Google said, look, we're trying to get the tech together first. And once we know that tech is there, where someone like CeeLo can pick up a controller, see PewDiePie, and see see Ninja there, and when they pick it up, they don't feel any lag. They don't feel none of that latency. Then we're going to bring the games on. Because that's the kicker. With this technology, it can't feel like, oh yeah, I'm playing this on something inferior. It has to feel just as good, if not better. Or ain't nobody going to want to play with PewDiePie. And ain't nobody going to want to play with Ninja. So if you're Amazon and you're Google and your Apex is your streaming service, You're not trying to get all the games on right now. You're trying to use your resources to build your tech up. Well, I don't want to say, your primary focus is on the tech. You're building that tech up as your number one priority, and you're still trying to get games on there. Because in order for you to build the tech up, that AI and machine learning has to be engaged, like how we learned from GDC 2019, when the 24,000 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey allowed Stadia to go from 1080p 60 to 4K 60. That wasn't possible without those 24,000 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So in order for you to get your tech 1v1 match with PC, with consoles, the best of them out there, you need more AI and more machine learning. So you definitely got to get games that people want out of it on here. But having every single game at this young stage, that's not your number one priority. Your number one priority is the tech, and you're balancing that with getting as many good games as you can on the platform that people want to play, while making sure that you're jumping on that tech ASAP. And it's not just an idea. It's what Phil Harrison already spoke to. Phil Harrison already spoke to this with Maj Bakar. And let's see here. He already spoke to this with Maj Bakar and Richard Ledbetter. Let's find it. You know how we do. Why did this shut off? My board never shuts off. It's designed to stay on. I don't know what's going on. It's acting janky today. It doesn't like me today. Let me show you something. Let me just take you off the screen for a little bit, CeeLo. This is an interview from Richard Ledbetter, Eurogamer. Maj Bakar, Phil Harrison, March 21st, 2019. This fell under the radar at a lot of people that were armchair quarterbacking Stadia. They missed this. Had they missed this, they would understand that. They would have understood everything. So, Richard Ledbetter in this interview, and this is a lengthy interview, says, let's talk about YouTube integration, which our good friend CeeLo just talked about. Phil Harrison says, our platform engages deeply with YouTube technology, but actually, take a step back, think of gaming today. There are really two discrete universes that coexist. There are people who play games, and there are people who watch games. There are 200 million people watching games on YouTube every day. Do you see this? So I was looking for this number. So as of 2019, that number was 200 million people. There are 200 million people that are watching games on YouTube every day. $200 million people watching games on YouTube, just YouTube alone, every day. The console market has a potential reach of 300 million, and you got to share those 300 million. And that number hasn't really grown significantly, even though our purchases of games have grown. The money spent towards games has grown, but that number hasn't grown significantly. We've heard from what's the name that used to be part of Naughty Dog? Amy something from Naughty Dog, and we heard this from Remedy, that the console market, the number of gamers within it, has become flat. Hence why the revenue stream for single player games and such have become very difficult to come by, and why you're seeing more games as a service. Because at the same $60 price point, it's harder to recoup after development costs and marketing costs, because that people want more You're marketing even more because games are getting more popular, but you're not really getting more people involved. So the console market is fighting between 300 million people. Some will get multiple platforms, but most of them just get one. They get one platform. A total lifetime, they might own 7 games on that platform at a time, and they only purchase 2 games a year. That's not a lot to work with between multiple groups when it comes to console market. However, this is just YouTube alone, which all this YouTube integration stuff that Stadia is possible, that's only for Stadia. All the Twitch integration that Amazon's gonna do, that's only for Amazon Luna. So Stadia ain't gotta share the potential game revenue with streamers with any other platform besides themselves. And look, we can do the math. We can do simple math. This was in 2018, there were 200 million people watching games on YouTube, and it was 50 billion hours watched. Now, if that was the case in 2018, and I told y'all that in 2020, it was 100 billion hours watched, what is this number likely now? How many people is it now? Now it's 400 million people. 400 million people watching games being played on YouTube every day that Stadia ain't got to share with nobody. Nobody. That's all theirs. So again, regardless of what they say on IGN, regardless of what they say on GameSpot, regardless of what I say, and it grew 100% in just 10 years, in 2 years. It grew 100% in 2 years. So in 2022, it might be 800 million. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see why Stadia and Luna ain't going nowhere? And it's even higher over there at Amazon. See, y'all miss all this stuff when y'all watch IGN. And y'all watch these Pew pundits. And y'all watch these YouTubers. Y'all miss all this stuff. You gotta cut the umbilical from the idiot herd. You ain't even gotta listen to me. I didn't make this interview. Richard Ledbetter did. Go on the internet and get it. And I'm not yelling at you, CeeLo. This is just part of the act. Don't let the theatrics scare you. $200 million people as of 2018, which is likely 400 million now, which will likely possibly be 800 million in 2022, next year. Those are all Stadia's people to where if PewDiePie says, look, if you want to hop in the game and play with me, I'm going to send you a code. Hop in the game. That integration is only going to be for the Stadia people. Just like when you go over to Twitch and Ninja said, you want to play Fortnite with me and my buckos? Well, I'm sending a code for you to hop in the game with. And in order for you to play this game with them, you would have had to activate Stadia and have access to the game via Stadia. Either because you have Stadia Pro or you bought the game a la carte. That is a safety net that nobody else has. Everybody else that's getting in this business has to go fight on the market for their consumers. Amazon and Google, they ain't got to do that. They own these streaming platforms where 200 million, 2 years from that 400 million, and possibly 2 years from that 800 million people will exist. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? But beyond that, Phil Harrison says it's not a game system. It's not a console. Contrary to rumors, We are not entering the console business at all. Actually, the point of our platform that we are not a console. It's a place to gather. It's not about marketing a device or being device-centric in our thinking. We're not making a box. We're making a place. It's a place where you can have different types of game experiences, whether you're watching, playing, participating, whether you're being entertained, or whether you're doing the entertaining. Does that sound like a platform whose sole purpose is to fight for immediate acceptance in the average gaming realm? No, it doesn't. But you led yourselves to believe that because the idiot herd told y'all that. This is now your awakening. Shout out to Dev the Gamer. He says Google and Amazon are ahead of the game because of these integrations. My brother CeeLo says thanks. This is probably double. Proto P says you probably won't need to type a code. Just click on the thing under that chat and boom. I'm about to wind it down because in about 50 minutes Clive is going to go live. I want y'all to have y'all bathroom breaks and take your rest and all that other stuff. But again, this is why it's important, y'all, to understand that the cloud gaming trajectory is a small business because, like the whole DRM conversation in 2013, Stadia is new. To a lot of people, it's scary. A lot of people don't understand what's going on. They haven't done the research, and the average gamer doesn't do research. They go to the favorite publications, and if the favorite publications are ignorant, they're going to be ignorant as well. And there's nothing really MM2K can do about it at a mass scale except for, now we can try and work together, but except for pluck out the people that we can pluck out. It's like the Matrix. We can save few people here and there from getting consumed like batteries, but we can't save everybody at the beginning. This is a battle. It's a chess game. You got to get in and get out where it makes sense. But at some point in time, as the numbers shift and resources and things work in our favor, the more and more people we can pluck out and educate about this stuff. Now, at the end of the day, once they're educated, if they say, well, this still isn't for me, then that's fine. We've done our job. But the purpose is education. And the IGNs and all these resources, they're ignorant. And they're being rewarded by being ignorant. They're getting ad revenue, they're getting clicks and all this other stuff, and they don't show you this stuff. This interview, my friends, is from March 21st of 2019. This is several months before Stadia launched. And all of the idiot herd was talking like Stadia primary focus was to compete on the traditional gaming market immediately. Nobody looked at this interview. They looked at it, they said too many words. I'm gonna make it up on my own, make it up on the fly. They still gonna click on it. Tippity tap tap, tippity tap tap, tippity. Nobody dared to do the due diligence, and y'all fell for it. Y'all fell for it. So much information here. So much information that contradicts everything that you were told about the platform. It's all here. It's been here since March of 2019. And y'all want to come over here and laugh at us because we researched this stuff. And because of the things that are here that Google been put out here has come to fruition. Now, granted, I'm not going to front and lie and make it seem like that Google did everything right and perfect and any of the ire that they received, all of it is factless or baseless. That's not true. That's not true. let me tell you something. Google, I love Google as far as what they've done with Stadia. And Google's always been friends of the things that we say here. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing even greater stuff with the community. But when they first launched, and I think Jack Buser hinted towards this without saying so, but I'm ad-libbing. I don't want to put anything in his mouth and create words that he didn't say. But I got a feeling, I'll just put it like that. I got a feeling that Jack Buser realizes that maybe they was trying to be a little bit janky at launch. Just a little bit janky. What do I mean by that? I go back to Jason Schreier. Calm down now. I know he gets the blood boiled. He boils the blood of the stadiums. But listen to what I got to say. Because even though I don't agree with you or your thought process when it comes to things, I can appreciate your conduct. And what I can say about Jason Schreier is I don't agree with a damn thing that he feels personally about games. He says that there's nothing to complain about games because there's a bunch of games out there. That's like me going to Country and Buffet and saying, well, all the 50 dishes smell like broccoli, but there's 50 dishes out here. Be happy, and if there's mold on it, I'll just throw up, damn it, and just get something else. I don't believe in that. I believe that there should be quality in games. I understand the complexities that developers and publishers are going through because a lot of us are not understanding of what it takes to make these games. But a lot of times there's some jankiness going on out here, and there needs to be a balance between the level of quality that publishers want to provide, and along with devs, and our knowledge base when it comes to games. We can't expect the unexpectable, right? But one thing I will say about Jason Schreier is that even when he did his, I call it the Lespose, but even though when he did his expose on Stadia, it wasn't so much that what he said wasn't truthful in regards. It's the thesis that he tried to draw. He tried to draw that Stadia was in trouble at the time that he wrote it, when it simply wasn't true. That's the thesis that he was trying to draw. Yes, was it true that Stadia fell short hundreds of thousands at launch? Yeah, he told us that at launch. He got word of that at launch. Now, I've heard, and I can't say I heard this on good authority, but I've heard that hundreds of thousands was on the lower side opposed to the higher side. Notice how he says hundreds of thousands. Notice how he didn't say almost a million, over 500,000, hundreds of thousands. So you got to understand the wordplay, because I write articles too. I'm in Fortune 500 business. I know all about wordplay when it comes to negotiating contracts, dealing with employees and all that other stuff. You try to say a lot without actually saying too much, right? That's that little wordplay game that they play. Why wouldn't he say almost a million? Why wouldn't he say over 500,000? Hundreds of thousands could simply be 200,000. So if you go off of that, if they fell short 200,000 at launch, number one, you know they made that up by the end of the year with Cyberpunk 2077 and Ubisoft Plus in December when it hit 500,000. Woo! And whatever they got in between. But when you look at platforms like the OG Xbox that people applauded, yo, that Halo was crazy. Oh, they launched with Halo and exclusive. The trajectory that we see with Stadia, in all likelihood, as far as saturation and engagement, surpassed the OG Xbox. And the OG Xbox had started off slow. The gaming business isn't always easy, and everybody can't skyrocket to it. And a lot of people that are writing these articles, these young cats, these young whippersnappers, all they know is PlayStation. PlayStation is one of the few rare ones that got into this business and it flew off. Nintendo, even when they made a console, they were around for a long time, making cabinet games and building software. They just brought those games that people love to play in the arcade and brought them home. Atari was out for a while. Sony is the only company that hopped into this for the first time and catapulted. But that's what a lot of y'all are used to. And y'all think that's just the ebb and flow. No, Sony, it just worked out for Sony like that. Nobody else but Sony was able to do that. Nobody else but Sony was able to do that. That's not the norm. Normally, these companies go through growing pains for years before they even get acceptance. Jack Buser spoke to that. And for Stadia's trajectory, their trajectory isn't even the average gaming market. Their trajectory is, again, building the technology to the point to where it's seamless with their streaming platform, to where people want to play with PewDiePie. You know what I'm saying? Get that code, play with PewDiePie, and they'll subscribe to Stadia Pro because they'll be able to play with their favorite streamer. That's their safety net. We've already showed you the numbers. 200 million, 400 million, possibly 800 million by 2022. And that's all Stadias. They ain't got to share that with nobody. Man, y'all better get out of here with that, man. Y'all better get out of here with that, man. Shout out to my good brother, Jim. He says, laugh out loud. I also questioned why Ubisoft says over 50 players on Riders Republic when they could say 64 players. It sounds more impressive to 60. Exactly. I don't know. You know what, Jim? No, I do know. I do know. Jim, this is going to sound crazy, but you got to believe me, good brother. 99.9% of the time I'm off my rocker. But this is that 0.1% of the time where I'm not. It's a business thing. It's a business and marketing thing. Psychologically, there are good numbers, there are marketable numbers, rather, and there are unmarketable numbers. 64 to their marketing team, to the general marketing team, is not a marketable number. When you say over 50, for some reason, psychologically, that hits well with people. And it's psychologically, you guys would, your heads would spin like The Exorcist if you saw the marketing materials that we had to go through for all this psychoanalysis stuff, the crap that we got to do when it comes to crazy stuff like that. Shout out to Eddie Player One. Eddie knows what I'm talking about. All this psychoanalysis stuff that we got to do when it comes to marketing things and what's a good number, what's a sexy number, as they say it when it comes to the Hollywood style marketing. And 64 isn't one of those numbers where over 50 is. Jim says, damn, I should tell the EA marketing team to say 2042 is over 100. Yes! Actually, yes. Jim, yes. Actually, yes. But you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the difference between where you're at and Ubisoft. Please don't take this bad. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. Don't take this the wrong way. But see, Jim, the reason why Ubisoft isn't using 64 and they wouldn't use 128 is because that's not, I'll just say that's not the sexy number for the general gamer. Where with games like Battlefield, you know it. They want everybody to play Battlefield. But what's EA trying to know? You would know better than me, brother. So if I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Tell me, brother. But EA trying to hit the hardcore gamers where the actual number resonates more. 128? Oh my God! Where with the general casual gamer, 100 plus would resonate more with them. So what am I trying to say? Ubisoft in general, even though they play a good tightrope, they do a lot of their marketing that resounds more with the casual type of gamer You know what I'm saying? Where they'll use 50 plus, 100 plus. Where with games like Battlefield, in my opinion, when you put that 128 plus out there, that resonates. That gives a tingle to the hardcore gamer. Like, what? That's my take on it from my experience. I could be wrong. So yeah, if you want a bunch of noobs on day one picking up Battlefield and running up and down with stethoscopes or whatever you can play with in Battlefield 2042, then yeah, say 100 plus. But if you want them hardcore gamers, which I believe that EA's marketing team's thought process is, those hardcore gamers, this has a very hardcore tone to it, and those hardcore gamers are going to go do that grassroots word of mouth marketing that's going to make the casual gamer want to get in, but it got to appeal first and foremost to those hardcore gamers. So we slapping 128 on this puppy. That's what their thought process is. Lloyd Henderson in the house. Lloyd, your ears must have been burning. I was talking about the fantastic show that you guys had on Sunday, or yesterday, as a matter of fact, where you guys were talking about NDA contract negotiations, you and Bill. And you know me, I do a lot of screaming. There's a lot of theatrics here, but I love the way that you guys coined that. I love the way that you guys phrased that, and I urge everybody to go check out the last episode of Stadia Cast. Was it Stadia Cast 38, Bill? I mean, Lloyd. Please let us know in the chat. And if you can drop a link to it, I really would appreciate, because we're trying to do some education here. So all of the great Stadia content creators, whether you do Stadia content solely or it's part of the repertoire, all of the Stadia content creators that help improve the knowledge base. We got to get more and more people in front of this information. Because now we're getting to a point, everybody, and we're about to close out. We're getting to a point now to where I think people are starting to realize that Stadia is not going anywhere. I'm having conversations with friends behind the scenes. I'm hearing things like, well, Stadia is just going to die a slow. Why would they die a slow death if Google just kills everything? You see how that doesn't make sense? It's not a slow. What is the reason for dying a slow death? If they kill everything and don't care about it, they're not making sense. They're void of the reality. I'm hearing a lot of those conversations behind the scenes. A lot of people I think they're starting to realize for the last 20 months, they've been fooling themselves listening to IGN, listening to a lot of these places that may not be favorable towards cloud gaming in general, or particularly Stadia. And a lot of the roughshod posts and stuff that they have out there. And now they're coming back and they're saying, well, let us understand. Let's go see some of these content creators. We want them to know of the brass, of the ilk that put out the great content, that grow the knowledge base, that even I listen to help me out. So many of them. And I'm going to forget some when I do this, but the Clive E. Lindens, the Stadia Cast, the Brian Chappelle's and the Nerf Report, the Gems. My mind already went blank. Oh, Sunny Cloud Gaming. You see what I'm saying? The Sunny Cloud Gaming. So many of them. And there's many more people. Many more. But that was just to name a few. Dominicano says, Clive, what's up? Clive is back. Clive, I'm getting off. Here goes the link. Lloyd Henderson put it out there. Please check it out. All right, Clive. So here's what we need y'all to do. I think we had a great Stadia live session. I'm glad to be back. But as long as people understand, that new API policy from Google could be huge. I don't know if my brother Clive is going to speak to it in about a half an hour. Could be huge. Clive, once again, now that you're back, please drop the link to your show because you're about to go live in 30 minutes. We want everybody. And as a matter of fact, I'll pin it. Check out Clive's show in 30 minutes. If you're not subscribed to Clive, I'll take the super chat and I'll get you a CAT scan, because you need to go. If you're not subscribed to all these great guys that I've listened to, that I've just mentioned: Jim, Clive, Lloyd, at Dasme on Twitter, Run Jump Stomp, which is the team at Nerd Nest, Bryant Chappelle, Nerf Report, and there's many more. We got my brother Chariot Man Gaming in the house. Don't forget the PNTS people as well. We got my brother Project Storm. We got my brother Stadia Revolution in the house. You know what I'm saying? Bippity Bob, Bippity, you gonna start making content again too. Damn it. You know what I'm saying? So many more. Lukey6, Cloud Gaming Dad, Collins Dynasty in the house. Check them out. There's so many more. My brother Rock, that's out there. Well, Rock hasn't done anything in a while, but when he comes back, check out my brother Rock. Stadia Rocks. And many more out there. Okay? Check them out. So I'm going to pin this up here. Pin message. Oh, thanks, Eddie. I appreciate you doing that too, brother. So I pinned it up there. Go check out the show. But again, real quick as a recap, check out that article about that new API policy from Twitter. It's on Twitter. Follow me at MM2K. Follow us at Stadia Dosage. Check out that article about the new API policy. It likely has ramifications on Stadia as well, and it's very eye-opening, and it does a lot to derail the whole theories killed by Google. It's very interesting stuff that they talked about today. We talked about Stadia's true apex. What is it that they're looking for? We talked about the emergence of the gaming offerings with the streaming offerings, and why I feel Amazon and Google's already made in the shade. You know what I mean? So definitely check it out. With that said, go ahead and take your bathroom break. Go yell at your kids. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you gotta do to get ready for my brother Clive and Linden. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. UK or BST, I believe that is. He's going live. Clive is alive. With that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. Y'all are the best. And until next time, you all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.